welcome to another episode of Mindset Matters. I've forgotten what episode number it is, but anyway, today we're going to talk about spending money and addiction and how that can affect people, especially if you've gone through some kind of traumatic experience. You're more likely have more issues with addiction related tendencies, and I've been really trying to think about like what makes me always want to spend money and things, and I really have come up with quite a lot of interesting thoughts, so I'm going to share them today. So the wonderful thing when you're writing your own story is that you really dig deep into why you do things. So one thing that I always know that I did was I spend a lot of money. You can probably see it in the vlogs where I just buy random shit, right? It's actually not a good thing because I never been able to save any money. I always spend everything that I have. Sometimes in my worst times, I've actually spent like a huge amount of money the day I get it. And then like I end up with like almost no money for the rest of the the pay cycle. So it's pretty bad when it gets that way. And I have several really big experiences with spending that I'm not very proud of. Like they're really, really big things that I wish I didn't buy. But when I think about why I'm always buying things, why I'm spending so much money, it really comes down to this addiction. And I think it's because I really crave that little bit of dopamine hit when you buy something. It's like when you buy that new thing, it's you're really excited for a moment, even if it's just for like an hour or maybe even for like 10 minutes or 15 minutes or something. It could just be as little as an hour or 15 minutes to like maybe a few days, if depending on what the thing is. But what I've really noticed is that I get really excited, kind of like almost the same as I want to experience new things, new places, similar in a way, but sometimes we know that we can't just like go and experience somewhere new when we want to. Like we can't just go out and have go on a holiday and stuff. But so a lot of times I make up for that with buying something because it's like, oh, it's that little bit of a new feeling. You get really excited. You get a bit of an excitement, dopamine hit, and that's it. And then when I think about why I crave that dopamine hit so much, I really think about what makes it so addictive. And then I think, for me, I feel like my neutral state of mind is sometimes in that little bit of a negative state. Not fully oh, I'm so happy every day. It's kind of like I'm in that almost like a little negative, I want something to bring my mood up. I want something to boost my mood, because it could just be events that happened in the past that could make your normal frame of mind to be a little bit just sad. I notice that in the afternoons or evenings, I really crave a conversation. That's something I always really feel like I just needed. I just really, really crave that connection, that conversation with someone. And if I don't have that conversation, I have this deep sense of sadness. It's really weird that I just feel like that around the evenings. I'm much better about it during the day, but during the evenings it's the worst. I just have this little bit of sadness. It's oh, I just really want to talk. And with the buying things, it's during the day sometimes it's I really want to experience something new. I would love to be able to go to a whole new place and experience that new feeling. The idea of spending every single day doing almost the same things without ever going experiencing new things, just I feel that little bit of sadness in my stomach, if that makes sense. A lot of times I feel these feelings don't really come from my mind but my stomach. It's my stomach is the thing that feels that feeling. It's that same feeling when you're a little bit anxious and nauseous and you get that stomach feeling. It's similar to that. It's a very physical thing. I've never been able to pinpoint what is really the cause of it, because sometimes it feels it's just in the back of my mind. It's not something I'm thinking about. It's not something that I'm actively oh, I feel so it's just something that's always at the back of my mind. And even though a lot of times I feel really good, but I do feel like I need that little bit of a boost, or I just feel like, oh, there's just something missing in the day. And when I think about why I'm spending so much, it really is like that craving. And I feel like maybe this is why people who've gone through like a lot of traumatic experiences, because it feels like the state of mind is always in that little bit of a, you're afraid of loss. That's if I were to describe my feelings, it's that I'm almost in a constant state of like this sort of like this anxious state. You're almost like you're waiting for loss to happen, if that makes sense. It's like kind of like you're grieving before it even happens, if that makes sense. And sometimes you'll have experiences like real life grief that will make it worse. But when you've gone through something really traumatic, I do notice that sometimes your neutral state of mind can be in that almost like that little bit of a grieving mode. So you're always looking for something to bring you up and to make you feel happy. Like you can't just feel like your default state is just not in that like really happy state, and you just want like that happiness feeling. And that's why I feel like a lot of times people can get into really bad addictions, because if something exists there that can boost your mood instantly, I mean, that's something that's very tempting, right? So that's why a lot of times I do understand now like why addictions are so like terrifying. And it doesn't have to just be like a drug addiction. It can be something like even like a spending money addiction, or like I had this horrible addiction with this mobile game that years ago I don't know what about that game just made me so addicted that they had these really cute outfits like for a gacha, and for some reason I was obsessed with getting certain gachas, certain outfits or certain things, and I was obsessed with it. Like I had to get it. Like I almost feel like I have this horrible mindset that if I want something, like if I want something like to buy something, I need it even if I can't afford it. It can be good, it can be bad depending on how you use that power. I mean, if you think of it like, oh, I need to achieve a goal and I'll do anything to achieve it, that's a really good thing. But if it's something like, oh, I want this and I'll do anything to buy this even if you don't have the money, that's not obviously a good thing. And that's the kind of mindset I was in. So with that game, I would just be like, on the first day that I get paid, right, and I would just spend like $150 on like this biggest gacha pack, and then like do all the gacha, maybe do it like 20 times, not get what I want, and then spend another 150, and then oh my god, my money is like halfway gone, right? And I'm freaking out because I still have 2 weeks to go, and then it's like, oh god, what am I gonna do? I am very lucky that I didn't get into a major debt, probably like by the grace of the fact that I don't have a credit card, and that's probably why I'm not in a really, really bad debt. Otherwise I would be, because I couldn't stop myself. It was so scary that I just kept buying these gachas, and in the end, like, I ended up having to delete the game because I just couldn't handle that obsession anymore. Like I got to a point where I did get the stuff I wanted, and then I was just like slowly losing interest, and then one day I was like, no, I can't keep doing this. Like, look at all I probably spent $2,000 or $3,000 on just the gachas because I was so obsessed. So I ended up deleting the game, and that was really good. And then later on I was into a different game that also made me spend a lot. It was a lot less, but it still spent a lot of money that I didn't have to, because I wanted items and stuff. And of course it's not a bad thing if you spend money on games and stuff, but for me, I just feel like like if I see something I really want, like I really like it, I just have this urge that I need it. It's like this hoarding feeling, like, oh, I just need that to be mine. Like it's a really, really scary mentality, because if you think about it, like when I was younger, I also stole things when I was really young, like 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. I would constantly be stealing things. And even younger than that, I remember the first time I stole something was like in class. Someone had these like fragrant beads or something, like there was the hot items, and I just stole some. But later on in school, I stole like this big box of jewelry and opals that, like, because I just really liked it, and in my mind I was like, if I liked it, I want to have it. And it's a really, really, really dangerous way of thinking, right? If you think about it, it's like you can't have everything, and you'll never actually be able to get everything. Like you might think, oh, I have all this stuff I want to buy, and then like later on you're like, oh, I just want to add 20 more things. It's like, how come my list of things I want to buy never goes down? Because this keeps adding new things, and there's keeps new things coming out. So it's like you then realize, oh god, you're never going to be able to get everything you want. That's just impossible, because there's endless amount of things, and once you find the one thing you want, you're going to find another thing that you really want, and then so it keeps going. And what I find is my addiction for spending, especially with gambling type of things, is really bad. Like, I'm lucky that I never actually really gone to gamble with money, because I feel like that would be dangerous. Like, I'm the type of person who's a little bit nervous to get into new things, and because I've never actually really gone into the gamble, I'm not gonna start now. So that's a good thing for me, because oh god, can you imagine if I went to gamble with money, and because it's like that feeling where you lose, right, and you don't get what you want. The worst thing is that you think, oh, I've already wasted all this money, I have to get it. If I don't waste more and get it, then all the money I've already spent is wasted. So you're thinking that in that way, and then suddenly you're like spending more money and more until like you have nothing. And that's like absolutely dangerous. And then I'm thinking, like, why do I even want it so much? Like, what about it? Because when you have it, then you start thinking like, oh, it's just like that, like I have it now. What's going on? And then you think, like, why did I even want it that much? Because sometimes that's happened to me, where I wanted something so badly. It's really expensive. I go buy it, and then I'm like, oh, it's not that exciting anymore. That's happened quite a lot. And sometimes what I will do now, at least, is if I want something and it looks really, really amazing, I see it, I'm really excited by it, I leave it, because in the past, I used to think that everything will get sold out in a day, and if I don't buy it today, it's never going to be there. Like, ask my mom about, like, the Baby Born when I was a little kid, right? I was obsessed with Baby Born, the little, like, doll. And then, like, I just remember, like, they had one on the shelf, and I was so obsessed. I was like, oh my god, we have to get this. If we don't get this, they're going to sell out, and they'll never get it again. So that's my way of thinking in the past, like, oh my god, everything's going to sell out. If I don't buy this right now, unless it's in an op shop, which, or, you know, those once-off shops, then it's usually going to be there. Like, they're not going to sell out right away. So nowadays, what I find myself doing that helps me, because I'm not always, like, that good at controlling my spending, what really helps me is if I leave it, and then I think about it, because if like 2 weeks later and I'm still constantly thinking about it, then I'm like, okay, I think this is something that I'm meant to get. Whereas if I just forget about it and go like, oh, it's not a big deal, then it's usually not as important as I think. So I really do have to leave it for a while, because you have to like imagine, like, what if you have it? Like, what's that gonna feel like? Is it going to like fill a hole, or is it going to just be like, oh yeah, whatever? Because then you gotta think. And I also have this bad habit of buying a lot of things that I don't use, and that's like one of my biggest things, is that I tend to buy a lot of clothes that I don't wear because they're too nice. It's like, in my mind, I'm like, oh my god, if I've spent all this money on it, like $200 on a dress, and it's like, oh my god, I can't wear it because it's so beautiful and like so nice, and what if I dirty it? What if I ruin it? What if I wear it and it breaks? Then it's gonna be wasted. So I end up putting all these dresses in my closet and never wearing them. So now I still have like this giant closet full of really nice dresses that I just don't wear because I can't bring myself to do it. I'm so in that hoarding mentality. I'm just like, I just need it to be like in the shelf. Like, I just need it there. Like, it's like I can't handle the idea of ruining it in some ways. So that's another issue that I have. I find that the cheaper a dress is, the more I'm likely going to be able to wear it. And this dress right now, this dress right now that I'm wearing, it actually took me over 1.5 to 2 years before I actually felt comfortable enough to wear it. And believe it or not, for the longest time, I thought this dress was really nice. I put it in the closet, I didn't wear it, and I was like, one day I'll wear it. And then this at the beginning of this year, what happened was all my dresses started to tear up. Like, I've been wearing the same raggy dresses for like a whole year, right? And then like the 3 or 4 dresses that I've been wearing for the whole year, it's starting to tear up. I've seen holes everywhere. I'm like, okay, I think it's time for me to finally get rid of those and start wearing some new ones. Also because I'm filming, I want to look nicer. I don't want to just look like a rag. And it's like, that's probably one of my really big motivations to wear a nice dress if I'm filming, because it's like, oh, it's like on camera, be saved into like a, you know, it's like when you're filming, you're always wanting to wear nicer things. So I guess to me that is a good motivation for me to wear nicer dresses when I'm filming. So that's a really good thing. But with the so with all my holy dresses, I decided to toss them, or maybe I kept a few of them. But I was like, okay, you know what? I think it's time. So I had to take out like 5 or 6 dresses that I've been hoarding in my closet for a long time that I haven't worn to wear for this period of time. So, and then I had to just accept the fact that it's very painful too, but I just have to accept the fact that, oh, this is going to be a dress that's eventually going to be ruined, you know, but at least I'm wearing it now. And if anything, I can take lots of videos while I'm wearing the dress. It'll keep memories of it. So, you know, I feel like making a video with me wearing something that I don't want to ruin is a really good way for me, because it feels like at least it's like that memory has been captured so that I still have the dress in some weird way, even if one day it breaks. So that's one thing that helps me. Another thing that really helps me with not buying something is if I film it. Like, it's so weird that sometimes it's just like tricking your mind into thinking that you have it. Like, if let's say you want like 5 dresses or 5 items that are really expensive, because sometimes I'll see something that looks so good and I just really want to buy it, but it's like $100 and it's like I just don't want to spend that today. It's like, oh my god, I just don't have that $100 to spend on this one item that looks so nice that you want. What really helps me is I take a little video of it, like maybe me holding it and stuff, and then all of a sudden it really like tricks my mind into thinking that I own it because I've taken a video of it. So that really helps me. I don't know if that would help other people, but sometimes by doing that I avoid having to buy that item. And sometimes with clothing, if I try a bunch of clothing on and like make a video of it, I end up feeling like, oh, I don't need to buy that, I already have like a video of me wearing it. So that's, I guess, a good thing. Like, that to me is almost like buying it. So, because I'm like, if I buy it, what would happen is probably because I just store it away. I wouldn't even wear it because it's too nice. And maybe one year, like, like 23, 30, 60 years later, I'd be like, oh, what was that again? Oh, it's all rotted. That's happened, you know? Like, I've had situations where I put something away and by the time I take it out, it's got chewed up by rats, you know? Like that old ice cream machine that I had. The cord got all chewed up. And it's like I was so afraid of using it for so long. It's just this fear of using something that you buy that's nice. I always have this problem where I buy a bunch of stuff. A lot of times it's like my great desire to use it, like, oh, I want to buy a printer so I can print arts and so I can sell it, right? I've done that. I bought a printer and then I just don't use it because it's too intimidating. So what happens is, like, I install it, it's all good, but I just never print because, like, the idea of selling art is very, very nerve-wracking for me. Like, I just feel like if I don't have a big enough reason to, it's hard for me to start doing it. So I end up just buying this printer, leaving it there, and guess what happens? It gets broken because Lucas was playing with it. So it's like I have to realize just how much I'm wasting by buying the stuff that I'm not using. It's like, if I was using it, it'd be so much more worth it, but I'm not even using the items that I'm buying. It's like I have so many equipment for different things that I have great ideas that I want to do, but I just never ever get around to it. Not because I don't want to, it's because of that little bit of fear. It's like it's kind of like that when you want to start something new, but you're just scared of how, because you don't know how it's going to work and it's scary. So that's a big problem that I have to face, is overcoming that fear so I can actually use the stuff that I buy. So again, I feel like sometimes it helps me if I'm watching stuff about how to use it. That always helps. Although sometimes I tend to put it away because I'm afraid it will get destroyed because the you know, anything like machines or anything gets broken very easily in this house. So I have to be very careful with it, and I lock a lot of things away so that they don't get broken or opened and stuff. But you know what? I just have to remember that there is a lot of things I have to keep telling myself, and it's very hard because I often I don't take my own advice. It's really bad. Like I'll buy it anyway. It's like I have to remind myself, hey, am I going to actually use this now? Am I really going to use this now? How about I just save that freaking money? And recently, one thing that's really changed for me is I have this desire to publish a book. So what I really want to do is I want to write my story, like a very in-depth recap of my early life, and also how that's shaped who I am and how I've been able to overcome a lot of different things like fear and all that. And it's like that desire to write this book is really overwhelming for some reason. It's like I suddenly got this inspiration, and I just feel really, really, really desperately just wanting to do that. And I know that that's going to have quite a lot of cost involved. So that's going to be like editing and all that. Like, even though I have found ways to like get this program to help me with a lot of this, like creating, like making it sound nicer, but I'm still gonna have to find editing. I'm still gonna have to figure out how to get it published, and I'm still have to, you know, it's gonna cost money, and I do want to get it like narrated, and it's going to be like, so I can get like an audio book version of it, and that's gonna cost a lot of money. So to me, I'm right now thinking about this big goal, and I have to say that the last 2 weeks or 1 week has been the first time in my life for the last maybe 10 years that I've actually been able to go out and not buy all these random junk. And I mean, it's so crazy. Like every day, usually I'd go out and I want to buy something. So I just think, oh, like I have to at least spend like $15-20, you know, I'm going to buy something. Like for the past week, I've actually really put my head down to do my work, as in like write my things. And I also started drawing again, which is really exciting because I haven't drawn for like a whole year. So now I'm starting to draw again. I'm very excited. And I'm finding myself bringing my iPad and everything out. So I'm spending time drawing instead of like looking everywhere to buy things. It's interesting because I do still look at shops. I do enjoy looking and doing window shopping, but I don't have this urge that I have to buy something. So I can look at TK Maxx, I can look at Kmart right now. I can do like rounds and I can check them out every other day. But the really cool thing is I haven't actually bought anything besides food related stuff or stuff that I desperately needed, like you know, household items and stuff that I actually needed. I have not bought anything like leisure for myself in the past week, and that's probably the best I've ever done in the past 10 years, and it's shocking. And it's like shocking how much I can actually save if I don't spend all this money on junk and crap that I don't need and I'm probably not going to use, right? It's crazy. Like I was able to put like $400 in my savings account this cycle and give myself this pressure of not spending. It's crazy. Like just because I'm very motivated right now to get this book done, because I'm thinking like, oh, I just want to do this. This is something I really, really want to do. There's something that's just really motivating me to do this. And like the desire is the first time I ever felt like, oh, I actually do need some money. So you know what else I actually did? If you're a regular show fan, you're probably thinking like, mom. But anyway, my point is, you know what else I actually did? I listed an item on eBay. Oh my god! Like, I haven't sold it yet, but you know what? Listing it is like the first step, because if I don't list the damn item, I'm never gonna sell it, right? I'm never gonna be able to sell an item I don't list on eBay. Because, you know, I always thought, okay, this was a little like, I have this like frying pan or something that I got at the op shop for really cheap, like, and it's selling for much more, although like the price varies depending on like how quick you want it sold. So I listed it on eBay for the first time, like in years. I haven't sold anything on eBay. I mean, haven't listed any item. Whether it sells or not, I don't know. It could take months, it could take years. I have no idea if it's even going to sell, but you know what? It's on there. It's actually on there. And what I've plan to do is I'm going to look at other stuff in the house that I could sell as well, because you just have to get over that first little hurdle of, oh, I gotta enlist this thing, and then it's like, so for some reason it's so scary to do it before you do it. It's like, oh god, there's just something that is stopping you. It's just like this, it's all like anti-motivation. I call it anti-motivation. It's like there to like put a gate on your freaking like everything that you want to do and just say you're not allowed. That's what it feels like. So I have this anti-motivation trying to work against me, trying to force me not to put things on eBay, right? So I have to keep watching things that motivate me. And of course, you guys probably know that I get very motivated with videos on YouTube that has like motivational content, and Gary Vee's videos is one of the videos that really motivate me. There's just something about the way he speaks that really motivate me. So the other day I was like considering on like putting things on sale on eBay, right? So I was thinking about it. I was like not quite there yet, and then the video popped up is like the best practices for like flipping. I watched that. It was like a 6-minute video, and after I finished that video, my first item was on eBay. I don't even know how I did it. It's like there's just something about the way that video was done. It had like clips of various different videos put together about how to list things on eBay. How like it just, the way it was done, was spoken, was so passionate that I just immediately felt that desire to put it on eBay. So that's what I did, and I'm very proud of myself because if it sells, I'll get some more money, and then I can put it towards this book that I want to publish. And if it doesn't sell, well, I'll probably have to decrease the price after a while. Who knows? You know, depends. Like, so I am very proud of myself for all the stuff I've been able to overcome, because let me tell you, like for the past so and so years, all I've been doing is making dumb purchases. That's just like buying dumb shit, as what Gary Vee would say. That's all I do all day. Although I am not against buying things, honestly. I think if you like buy something that's small and it makes you a little bit happy, I think that's a really cool thing. I just think that it's important to also be able to save if you really have a big goal in mind. So that's one thing. It's like I really love spending, but I also know that some days I don't have to buy things. Like other days, like I may want to get like a new sticker sheet, or I may want to get a new pen or something that's, you know, that's going to make me happy, and I do that. I don't at all stop myself from buying these kind of things. I just know now that, okay, if I really want to save up, I'm going to have to be very careful with my spending. So for the past week, I still do need to go out for a period of time every day to get that new fresh air. I can't speak properly. I just need that fresh air kind of feel. But after that, I'm very happy, and I find that I don't have to go out as early as I used to. I stay at home and I do a lot of my writing, so that really helps me as well. I do a lot of writing, and then I'm like, okay, so after that, I'm like, oh, I'm pleased with how much I've written, and then I go for a little bit. I just eat a little bit of food. Sometimes, like these days, I've been trying to eat cheaper, so sometimes I'll even eat buy a $6 sandwich instead of like a $12, $13 or $14 meal. I'll get like something cheaper some days, and other days I might just try to get more food to cook at home or something. So, you know, I'm working on it, and it's just so interesting to see how a little bit of motivation or a reason to spend has made me so, like, just be able to save so much in 1 week. Like, imagine if I'd done that for the past 3 years. Imagine the money I would have saved. I probably had like $30,000 if I'd just saved properly for the last 3 years. But instead, I just feel like I always need to buy something. It's like that desire to buy something. It's so strong sometimes, it's just impossible. And you can even see, like, every other week I have some random new purchase that is so silly or something. It's actually almost like a sitcom, like the what am I gonna buy next? Even though I don't plan to stop buying stuff, but I do feel like, you know what, I'm gonna save some part of the days, some part of the week. I'm going to really put my head down and save so that I have this money to save for. I can do this thing that I really want to, and it feels so good. Like, I just want to do this, and this is one of the few things that I really want to do. And in the past, I've gotten a lot of help from, like, my mum is very nice. Like, she helps me a lot with my random crazy purchases, and honestly, for this, I just so desperately want to do this without any kind of help, or even tell anyone about that I'm really doing this. Like, I just want it to be like, oh, here it is, it's all done, it's all, you know, like rather than say, oh, I'm doing this, like, you know, it feels nice to get help. I don't get me wrong, I am very grateful for that, but at the same time, I feel like I'll be more serious about it if I'm actually able to save for myself and just do this for myself. Otherwise, I'll just think it's like, oh, it's just 2 seconds, yeah, whatever. So I really am really enjoying that process, even though I do kind of feel a little bit of the sadness, like, oh, I just don't have as much money to spend when I go out. It's like almost, but I have to really focus on how exciting it's going to be when I'm actually able to like do something with my story, because that's going to be a big deal for me. I've never done anything remotely close to something like that, so just writing it is like braving a huge part of my fear, because as you know, I fear starting new things. So for a long time I put off writing because I was like, oh, I just can't do it properly. So now I'm actually doing it. It's wonderful, and the saving money is like a huge thing for me because I just have never been able to do that. I'll tell you a really horror story, like a horror story of my worst purchase, and it's not the birdcage. I know I told that story before in one of the videos. That one is a funny one, but this is actually really serious, and it was really bad. So what happened was I was really in like this period of postpartum depression that was extremely bad, and it was like a part of what had to do with like the death of someone that I was following on the internet or something, and it just affected me really bad. And I remember I was so sad, like in the evenings. Again, it's like there's something about that evenings, this like bring this sadness. And I remember I felt also very guilty because I wasn't able to get like the newborn like photos that I saw online, like people were doing, and it was like, oh my god, I just really wanted that. So what I did was I thought, you know what, if I bought a bunch of photography props, then I can like take photos anytime. Like, so I don't know why, even though I missed this opportunity with Lucas, I had this idea that if I just bought all the photography props, it would somehow make up for my feeling guilty. I don't know why I thought that, and I don't know like what's going on. I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna buy like a huge amount of baby photography stuff. So that's what I did. I went online, I bought like every single like set that you can find. Like, I think I've spent like maybe like $6,000 just on shipping. That's how bad it was. Like, I got so many different things, ranging from clothing to bean bags to like everything you can imagine. Backdrops, the backdrops and the flooring was the most costly because they were very heavy too, you know. So I got all those floorings, backdrops and everything, and they all got shipped from like other countries, and it was just so huge. Like, the amount of stuff I had, like I could have done a big studio and I could have been really like far ahead. But the problem was I spent all this money, right? It's like probably around like $15,000 is how much I spent on it. Maybe more, maybe less, I don't know. But that's about how much I spent. The frightening thing is, I thought I really wanted to do this. I didn't really consider like the, you know, what it actually involved in. Like, I never tried it. I kind of just thought, oh, that's what I do. So with all this equipment and items and all that, I thought, okay, maybe I should like try doing photography. So what happened was, we had neighbors and friends and, you know, family friends with newborns that, you know, wanted photos, and I offered to do it for free for them, because like that's how you usually think of starting off, right? You do it for free, so just to get a taste, get a portfolio going, everything like that. So that's what I did. I offered to do their photos for free, and even when I was offering for free, I still had this huge stress about whether I could do it right, whether I could like get the perfect photo, because like I had always had like this really high expectation. If I have this idea of what I want to do, that's usually what I want to do. I don't want to do like take a really like photo that I'm not happy with. I want the best photo for them. So even though they're not, I'm not getting paid for it, I still just wanted like the best photo for them. So like that day, I still remember they had twins, and I went there and I was trying to take photos, and oh my god, it was really I was struggling, because one twin would be really upset, the other one would go to sleep, and then that one will wake up and this one will go to sleep, and I just couldn't get them to like sit together. Like, you know how you see these like really cute photos of the twins that are just like lying together peaceful? To me, I couldn't get that. I was just getting one that was like, ah, and then the other one would be like sleeping, and then you have the other one calm down, and this one is like, it's like impossible for me to work it out because I was not experienced. I also had little Lucas, who was like, maybe a few months old at the time, that, could get distracted, but not for too long because he still needed me. So I was under this huge stress, right? I was trying to get the photos, and then Lucas was there. They were trying to keep him busy and was very like tough for, and then I was just stressing out because the twins weren't like, and then it's also funny because babies also poop a lot. So when you're trying to take photo, like a explosion, so you have to like have to clean them up and everything. So it was very, very, very stressful for me. And then after that experience, I had like one other one with a neighbor's kid or something, and then it was just like I just never was able to get the exact kind of photo I was hoping for. And I know it's probably because I didn't try it enough, but it was just very stressful. And that's not even me looking for clients. Like that's not even me like getting paid for it. And I was not like looking for people, and I just thought, oh God, if I actually was looking for clients and they were paying me, imagine the stress I would be under, because then I would have even more pressure to get it perfect. So this is like after I spent so much money on this equipment, right? And then I was like, this is just not for me. And guess what happened? It's not like you can just like sell the equipment as easily as you bought it, because you don't really have a shop. So it's hard because like unless you want to put it like on a special shop and like advertise it, it's hard to sell it for the full price. You'll find that if when you're buying stuff and you want to sell it on Gumtree or sell it like locally and stuff, it's much harder to sell it for the full price. So I ended up just selling like a bunch of them for like maybe like 1/10 of the price or something, and I just just sold as much as I could. I still have bags of it somewhere, but I sold as much as I could. And there was like this part of me that was holding on to the best, because I like outfits that I just couldn't bring myself to sell, but still I try to do whatever I can, because I just felt like, okay, I need to like get rid of it, because even if I don't have nearly as much money back, it's like this is a good lesson for me to know that, okay, well, even though I didn't learn it right away, I feel like now maybe I'm getting it a little more. And even now I can't say that, because who knows what I'm going to do next year or next month. Who knows? Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I have all this figured out. I am going to be so careful with spending from now on. Oh my God, you'll see me have this like so much money saved by next year. Woohoo! Like, knowing me, I'd probably next week just like say, stuff it. I don't want to write anymore. And then just like give up completely and just spend my money. No, now that I said that, it's like, okay, I'm not going to do that. I'm determined not to do that, because if I do that, I'll be very disappointed in myself. But anyway, so my point right now is I am trying my best. I'm not going to promise anything, because I have never get everything figured out. Like, that's just part of, I know how I operate, is that I think I have it figured out right now. I think everything's going well, but I never know what's future's going to bring. So you know what, I'll just do my best right now, and I'll just share my experience as I'm experiencing it, which is the greatest thing, because I get to share my insights. And if I change later, then I change later, so you'll get like an update. It's like, oh, by the way, everything I said doesn't work. So that's gonna happen maybe one day. But anyway, for now, I just have to say again, I am so loving being able to actually save the money. It just goes to show how much I'm capable of if I really put my mind into it. I always knew that about me, that if I really wanted to do something, nothing could stop me. If I had my mind set to something, if I truly want something, I know I'm able to achieve it. Just there's this thing, like this really crazy amount of motivation, energy in me that can make anything that I truly want happen. But it takes a lot for me to want it that bad, for me to actually take action. That's the problem, is a lot of times I need that 200% motivation for me to take action. Whereas people usually, you think like usually people can work with 50 to 60% of motivation, they can get things done. For me, I feel like I need that 100, 200% for me to really get it done. And then I can do it faster than like faster than what I can ever imagine. But for some reason, it's just like how I've always operated with my mind. It's like, if I'm motivated and really, really, really motivated, I mean motivated by 200%, I can get it done really fast. But then I also burn out very quickly, so that's another downside, I guess. It's like I kind of think of that as like an ADHD tendency, where it's like if I'm really interested in something and really, really motivated and excited about it, I can do it very, very fast and very well. But if I'm not, then I can't even bring myself to start or even like to spend 10 minutes on it. It's just so hard. So I have to really take advantage of like, hey, right now I am just so in the mood, and it's just really, really exciting because I want so badly to do this. I've been waiting forever for me to feel motivated to write my story, because I've tried it in the past. Believe it or not, I had moments where I thought, maybe I should just write my story. And then I started writing like a page, and then I was like, no, this is too hard. I don't know how to do it. And that's an excuse, because like, we all know how to write. It's like whenever I say, I don't know how to do this, it's not really I don't know how to do this, more like I'm too scared to do this. That's really what I'm saying. So I have to work on that fear. Like, I feel like that's probably my main thing that I need to work on in my life, is overcoming that fear that's stopping me from doing pretty much everything that I ever wanted to do. Like, it's like the fear of the unknown, or the fear of like just like the unknown, the fear of, because you haven't done something before, can be so great that it puts you off doing it, even though it's should be simple. Like, it's something simple as selling my art prints should not be this hard. Like, it's like simple, but for some reason I've always had trouble just bringing myself to do it. Like, even I was trying to open an Etsy shop and I got stuck on the freaking name of the shop, and I just haven't been able to move forward. So what I need to do now is I need to actually come up with a name, even if the name is not nice. I mean, I can always change it later, and then just like list the freaking item, right? That's what I really need to do, even if it's a digital item. I mean, surely it can't be too hard. Like, I have a lot of artwork I have on my iPad that can be sold. Like, it can be sold as a print, it can be sold as stickers, but even though I've looked at how to do that, I still haven't brought myself to being able to do that. So that's something I need to work on really, really much. I feel like if I can work on like just doing things to earn me money, it will be really great, because right now I'm just in the spot where I'm like too comfortable, and I'm just too comfortable to try doing new things. That scares me. So I feel like with this need of this money to do this book, I'm going to really feel that need of earning more money, and that's probably going to motivate me or push me over the edge to either sell more things or do something with my art, which is something that I've done in the past that I really enjoyed. I love doing art, but I burnt myself out. And how did I do that? I did that because I kind of forced myself to do too much when I didn't feel like. And art is the same thing, that whenever I start a new picture, I get that little bit of a fear, because it's always hard to get the rough draft going and start coloring. Once I'm into the coloring, I feel really good. I was like, oh yeah, I'm so motivated. But it's that part before that, when I'm thinking of the idea of what to draw, and then I'm starting the coloring, because in the beginning it looks so bad. Before you color it, it looks like, usually when I just first put the color in, it looks so awful that I just get put off by it completely. So it's harder to pick up a pen and to draw when I'm in that mood. Whereas once I'm really into it and I've like done the first layer of it, it's looking nice, that's when things get easy. That's when I really want to draw. So that's something that I have to be aware of. It's like, what's making me not want to do it is usually because I just fear something. Like, I fear and I'm making up excuses. I'm thinking, oh, this is too hard, or I don't know how to do it. Whereas it's really just a Google search away. But it's just something that I don't want to do because I feel like it's hard, But is it really hard? Like, is it really hard? Like, I'm so overwhelmed by the idea of like selling the art, or posting it. Like, I've posted things before. I've sold toys and stuff before and made quite a lot when I was selling my toy collection and stuff. And everything went well. So what am I so afraid of? I have to really ask myself that. And, right now is a good chance. You know what? I am going to need some money to do this book, so I need to start selling things. So that's what I'm really planning to do. I do plan to add more things on eBay and things like that. So I'm already very proud that I added my first item. So I'm going to do more of that soon, ASAP. So yeah, but at the same time, I'm also very pleased that I've been able to really halt my spending for the last, even if it's just for a week. For 1 week, it's it could add up to a lot. You have no idea how this little bit of money that you save for one day can add up in a week or two, and then a year or two. That's going to be crazy. So I'm really looking forward to it. I will definitely update more on how I'm doing with my saving, with just saving up for a dream, a big goal of mine. So that's something that I've never done before. It's really exciting. So hopefully you can stay updated with my journey of all these things. I'll definitely keep updated with how I do with my art, how I do with my drawing, which is the same thing, how I do my writing and everything like that. So yeah, hopefully this was helpful for you if you really felt like, you know, like just motivate you a little bit in maybe saving or doing something that you're passionate about as well.